of the patrolling on these stretches. You can see that van lazily passing by that exact same stretch where one of the most horrific crimes that we've seen in the national capital happened just moments before. This particular stretch, it's along the 12-kilometer stretch in which Anjali's body was dragged by the Baleno car. And now you can see here's proof that there was a PCR van very much present, just not on that stretch, just not at the time when the incident had taken place. 10 minutes later, you can see them slowly droning along in the same road with no urgency, clearly with no clue that this kind of a horrific incident actually took place. Arvind Ojha is joining us with more details on this. Arvind, this नए CCTV के बारे में और जानकारी दे दीजिए।
देखिए, ये उसी रात का सीसीटीवी है जब ये पूरा हादसा हुआ था और जो सोर्सेज हैं वो उनका कहना है कि ये हादसे के ठीक पहले का सीसीटीवी है, जिसमें जो इम्पोर्टेंट है वो ये कि पीसीआर की जो वैन है दिल्ली पुलिस की, वो इसमें दिखाई दे रही है। जिस तरह से लगातार ये बातचीत आ रही थी कि जो पुलिस का मूवमेंट है वो देर रात दिखाई नहीं दे रहा था, तो इसमें साफ दिखाई दे रहा है कि पीसीआर वैन है और उसके साथ ही साथ बेलेनो कार भी जाती हुई दिखाई दे रही है। ये जो तमाम सीसीटीवी है ये दिल्ली पुलिस देखेगी और उसके हिसाब से अपनी इन्वेस्टिगेशन को आगे बढ़ाएगी। आपको बताऊं कि जो एमएचए है, एमएचए ने भी एक इंटरनल इंक्वायरी का आदेश दिया है। जो स्पेशल सीपी शालिनी सिंह वो इस पूरे मामले की जांच कर रही हैं कि कहां पर लैप्सेस हुआ है, आखिर 12-13 किलोमीटर दूर तक लड़की को घसीटा गया, बावजूद इसके किसी पुलिस वाले ने क्यों नहीं देखा। लेकिन ये सीसीटीवी में साफ दिखाई दे रहा है कि जो पीसीआर वैन है उसकी मूवमेंट दिखाई दे रही है। तो ये तमाम चीजें इंटरनल इंक्वायरी में शालिनी सिंह गृह मंत्रालय को भेजेंगे।
Okay, Arvind, stay on with us. Shreya Chatterjee is joining us live with more details on this. Shreya, this PCR van, can you confirm for us whether they were on regular rounds in this stretch or were they responding to an SOS call that came in over the body of Anjali being dragged on that stretch?
Well, you know, from the CCTV visuals, what we understand that this PCR van might have been trailing the car, as we can see on the camera, just before the accident took place. But it's very crucial. The fact that there was a PCR van on the stretch, almost say 5 to 10 minutes between the accident taking place and the dead body being dragged for 13 kilometers, points out at the lapse that where was this PCR van, because it's not a mobile, it's not a stagnant PCR van. It's supposed to move around. That's established from the CCTV. So it must have been taking rounds. So if it was taking rounds indeed, then they would have absolutely traced down that Baleno car, intercepted it while it was dragging Anjali's body for say 13 kilometers. So this is a huge piece of evidence. This will definitely be submitted to the Delhi top cop who is investigating the internal inquiry, which is the lapses on the part of Delhi police. And this CCTV is one of those clincher CCTVs, because of which those officials on PCR duty in all likelihood will face the flak.
You can see in that stretch the PCR van going about on that road very, very slowly. So it doesn't look like they were really responding to any SOS call, Shreya. It looks like they were on their rounds, going about slowly on New Year's Day with no clue that this kind of a crime had taken place at all.
Well, absolutely. That's exactly what we can see. Now, the PCR van is seen, which means that there was a PCR van in the area. I'm sure that if we are talking about 13-kilometer stretch, say from Sultanpuri district to the Rohini district, there should have been at least more than one PCR van in that entire stretch. Why did that fail to intercept the Baleno car? Now they don't have an alibi saying that the PCR was, say taking around somewhere else. That alibi is also something that the officials on duty cannot really put forward. So very crucial piece of evidence getting to our viewers that even at the time, a PCR van, just few moments from the accident take place can be seen behind the Baleno car. Then remember what this scenario can happen. And this is exactly what we got in that report, Akshita, where all of us went out. Remember, there was this one man who said that even PCR can't do anything to us. So that's the kind of, audacity that people also feel, that be it a PCR van is there or a check is there, they'll anyway go ahead with the crime. So this is something that the Delhi police has a lot of answering to do.
Let's talk about also the timing. What we're hearing, of the crime itself, Shreya, that it happened at about 2:02 a.m. That's what at least we know as of now, that this happened at 2:02 a.m. and then, of course, Anjali's body was dragged for several kilometers. This CCTV footage, you can see the PCR van at about 1:52 a.m., correct?
Yes. Yes, well, absolutely. This is prior to the accident. That's absolutely established that this is not when the accident took place. The accident took place, say, post 2. The CCTV visuals are very categorically establishing that this is prior. But even then, why is it important? The fact that there was a PCR moving around that same area, that same jurisdiction, because remember, we are talking about barely 10 minutes between a PCR van behind that Baleno car and that accident happening, and subsequently the dead body being dragged for such a long kilometer. So definitely the PCR officials on duty that day, they will have to receive a flag. I'm again pointing it out. According to the Delhi Police Manual, 826 mobile PCR vans are supposed to be on duty, distributing around 13 zones. Where were the PCR vans in this particular zone, which is the northern zone that we are talking about? That's something that the Delhi Police will have to answer in that internal inquiry.
True, and there will be questions really about what the Delhi police officials inside that van were doing. If they were alert, if they had ensured that they were actively surveying that entire area as they're supposed to, maybe then this crime would have been reported earlier. You wouldn't have seen Anjali's body being dragged for 12 kilometers if there was any sort of interception by the Delhi police, which didn't happen, which is what has shocked so many of us, that not a single police official was present on that entire 12-kilometer stretch. What's now been confirmed is that there were police officials present, and then that raises more questions about whether in the presence of Delhi police too, something like this can happen completely unknown to the cops who are present on that spot. They were there patrolling very much, so it's not like there were no police officials present, but the timing and the way you can see that the patrolling is happening, they're moving by that stretch extremely closely. There will be questions about whether there was enough adequate patrolling happening at that point. And clearly the Delhi police failed to intervene, to intercept this particular Baleno vehicle as it went on for 12 kilometers, dragging Anjali's body. Let me again highlight for you the timing here. On one hand, you have the footage of the Baleno car. What we hear is that she was hit, Anjali was hit by this car at around 1:52 a.m. The video of the PCR van passing is of 2:02 a.m. So if you consider that, at least for 10 minutes, there was a difference of Anjali being hit and then the PCR van being seen. She was dragged for 12 kilometers. So at 2:02 a.m., it's possible that her body was still being dragged by that car. This is in East Delhi.
जहां पर दरिंदगी के शिकार हुई
is barricaded from what I can see. If an incident took place here, God forbid,
You're joining us here for an India Today special broadcast. Now, the death of young Anjali in the national capital has stunned all of us as a country, and we're all concerned about the law and order situation. Yesterday, I joined you here at 5 p.m. with a detailed report of what the law and order situation was like in Delhi. You, the viewer, responded to us and said that we want to know what's the situation across India, in different cities across the country. We've heard your voice. We've now gathered our entire India Today bureau. Everyone took to the streets late last night to find out which city is safe, which city isn't. And here, over the next 2 hours, we're going to be playing out a handful of these reports to show you the dismal reality of how unsafe India's streets are. It's not a problem plaguing the national capital alone. There are many other cities, metropolitan cities at that, believe it or not, where women cannot step out without being targeted, without feeling unsafe. 18 reporters spanning across 11 cities filed a series of detailed reports. They conducted a safety status check, venturing out post-midnight. This is between 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. to see if there was police presence, to see exactly what's happening around. Is it safe for people to venture out in the night on the roads of these cities? We're going to be telling you over the next few hours. So 18 reporters, 11 cities covered. What's the situation in your city? We're going to be telling you that in great detail. Let's begin with the city of Bengaluru. India's Silicon City. It's often considered to be very, very safe. But on the ground, if a woman steps out, if even a male steps out, what happens? Our reporters, Anaga Keshav and Sagai Raj, hit the streets of Bengaluru late in the night to gauge whether the IT city is safe, if there's any significant police presence or not. Very often, it's said that Bengaluru is a very modern city, that it's extremely safe for women out there. You'll be shocked by what we found.
It's about 12:10, 12:15 right now. We are standing at the Residency Road near Mayo Hall Junction. So I was standing right here, and of course there were cars and two-wheelers slowing down. But shortly after that, a police vehicle came by and they asked me and my cameraman if we were okay, if we needed some support and what we were doing here. And in fact, they were very friendly with us. They asked us about our well-being and if things were okay. And so we just told them that we're here, we're shooting something about road safety, and that was the good point. But 5 minutes after that...
Excuse me, it's gone.
Sorry?
Excuse me, gone.
Sorry?
Service.
What service? Drives back here and then comes up to me and asks me for some sort of service. Huh?
Service.
What service?
No service.
What? I don't understand. Of course, I pretended as if I didn't understand for my own safety reasons. And I was like, what service? What service? I don't understand.
Service.
I don't understand. What do you mean by service?
Massage.
There is no massage service offered. And that's when I made it clear that there was no massage service offered, and he can just leave. We had one good thing, which is the police van come by and ask us if we were okay. But also, I did feel a little unsafe when these bikers came up to me and asked for this service. Post that, me and my cameraman, we moved to this place called St. Mark's Road, which is just parallel to MG Road. So here, I was sitting right here in this bus stand. There were two people going on a bike and they started catcalling me. They started calling me names and they started screaming. Of course, they didn't come to me, but it was a very scary moment for me. Thank God for my cameraman. If he was not there, I'd be terrified. However, there was no patrolling here. Not as much as what it was in MG Road and in Residency Road.
We reached out every nook and corner of Indiranagar, and this is an area which is a confluence of both residential as well as commercial. And 1 o'clock in the morning, and you can still see there are a lot of people on the streets. In this reality check, we didn't find any kind of security lapses. People were happily walking on the roads without any kind of fear. However, we couldn't even find a single police patrolling vehicle on this busy road. Imagine at 1 a.m. you still find these kind of people on the street, but still there are no police patrolling vehicle to monitor the situation or to look after the security of the people here in Indiranagar. And this is the ground reality here in Bengaluru.
So that's our safety check in the city of Bengaluru, which is considered largely to be safe, but clearly that's not the case. I want to introduce our reporters also, several of our women reporters from across the country who are joining me live to recount their experience. Vidya is joining us from Mumbai, Anaga from Bengaluru, who filed that report for us. I'll be going across to her first. Akshayanath joining us live from Chennai. I have Ahana joining me from Kolkata. Purva will be joining me shortly from Hyderabad. Anaga, I'd like to begin with you. Tell us really what happened with you, because yes, there was police presence on the streets of Bengaluru, but clearly that doesn't deter these kind of men from coming up and targeting single women who are standing on the roads of the city.
Akshata, it was more like a good, bad and ugly side of Bengaluru. So I have a moderately good news for you, which was every 15 minutes I found policemen patrolling. They came up in their PCR vans. Right. They asked me and my cameraman what we were doing here, if we were okay. And in fact, one policewoman, she asked me if I needed a drop somewhere. And in fact, they stood with us for about good 5 minutes. They stood with us to know what we were doing, what we were shooting. And shortly after that, they left. But the bad side was, in that interval of 15 minutes, the first police van and the second police van, that was when this incident happened. That was when these two bikers, they came up to me and asked for some sort of service. Now, I'm not saying that the police have left us in the lurches. Of course, they have not. They are doing a fairly good job. But despite police deployment, there have been lapses. And yesterday's report was a testament to it. And after Residencies Road, where the service incident happened, we moved on to St. Mark's Road, where there was no police deployment. And that was when a couple of bikers going by, they just started screaming. Of course, me and my cameraman, we were in shock, and that's why we couldn't record it, because I just didn't expect that to happen. And after that, we just packed up because we were in shock. But this was the situation in Bengaluru. There was police deployment, but there were lapses too.
Police deployment, that's good to know. And there are many cities who can take perhaps lessons from the Bengaluru police on how to ensure adequate monitoring, adequate patrolling. Many of them reached out to Anaga, asked her if everything is okay. But unfortunately, the reality also is that if a woman is seen standing alone, even in a city like Bengaluru, there are these men who will come up and start asking all sorts of inappropriate questions, like what happened with Anaga. What about the city of Chennai? Akshaya Nath was out there on the streets of Chennai late into the night. She told us what's the situation. The biggest takeaway is that, yes, there's ample police presence all over the city street. A stark difference from our other reports. What we found in the city of Chennai is that it is largely safe for women to venture out because of the fact that cops are there constantly monitoring.
Chennai's Perungudi, and this is an IT hub. And what we have been seeing here for the last 20 minutes of waiting here is that there hasn't been much activity. I have been waiting in this bus station for quite some time now. Only like 2 people stopped in between. One was an auto rickshaw driver, another was a two-wheeler person, and that man alone had made a U-turn and had tried coming on the other side of the road, but he did not make any step for communication. What we are trying to assess here today is the level of security for women in Chennai at this time of the hour. And what we can understand is that literally nobody has been caring to even ask why a woman has been sitting here alone. There has been a patrol vehicle of the police which has been away around 100 meters from here, and they have been using sirens every now and then, but nothing more than that relatively here. இல்ல கேப் வரதுக்காக வெயிட் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தோம். கேப் வரது வந்துருச்சுல, புக் பண்ணிருக்கீங்களா? ஆமா, புக் பண்ணிருக்கோம். சார் டைம் வந்து 5 மினிட்ஸ்னு காட்டிட்டு இருந்தது. என்ன ஹெல்ப்? சாரி, ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுமா? இல்ல சார், பரவாயில்ல. நோ ப்ராப்ளம். சார் வருவாங்களா? நிச்சயமா வருவாங்க. At around 1 a.m. in the night, my camera person Daniel and I reached near the Adayar Tiruvanmiyur Cross Junction Road, and this is very close to the Tiruvanmiyur depot, a place which is almost active all the time through the day. And what we saw was that for the first 15 minutes there was not much of an activity, only a couple of auto rickshaw drivers stopping by to ask if I wanted a ride anywhere. And apart from that, around 15 minutes later, we saw that a policeman in a two-wheeler drove up to me. He stopped to inquire if I needed any help, and he asked me why I was standing there. And it was later on a 5 minutes question answer session of a sort with the police official, who tried to reassure me that if there was any case of an emergency or a need, the police department was there to help. And he also said that there were multiple patrol systems available, and if there was any help that is needed from the police department side, they will be ready to help. So that was a welcoming move. And even now where we are standing, we're seeing that there is a patrolling team, there is a check post which has been created, and constantly vehicles which are coming here is being tested. So this is the security measure which has been put across Chennai city, and in multiple places my vehicle in which we were coming was also stopped to check what was happening. So at least in Chennai city right now, with the new year, we're seeing that a number of police officials on ground has increased, and in multiple places, yes, police checkpoints have been created and people have been on alert.
So of all the cities that our reporters filed reports from, filed ground status checks, we found that the city of Chennai was largely safer than the rest. And we'll get in an account from Akshay Nath, who was there through the night from about 12 a.m. out there on the streets of the city. Akshay, did you feel safe when you ventured out? I heard the conversation that you had with the cop. He was very polite, asked you, how are you getting home? What are you waiting for? Do you need any help at all? And that was very reassuring to see.
Well, yes, Akshita, like I was in multiple places last night between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m. And what we had generally seen is most of the general public had a no-care attitude. There were specific locations where, only in Perungudi, the IT hub station, did we find one two-wheeler person, kind of like a stalker, moving around. He came twice around that area, but he did not even dare to speak up. After that, when we were in Thiruvanmiyur, we had a very welcoming sign wherein this cop on duty came there, stood by me. He even asked if any kind of help was needed, if a drop in the patrolling vehicle was required. And when I inquired furthermore about if any woman walks out like this in the night, what kind of security measures are in place, he was talking about the list of action plan that the government has, the police department has briefed all these police officials. So he was talking about the multiple patrolling vehicles. And yes, indeed, we did see multiple patrolling vehicles in most of the important locality, most of the main roads. They were checking that was happening. Yes, it was an eerie feeling to stand on the road alone because you were the only person on the road at that point of time, and most of the other people were moving around were men. Some of them gave you dirty looks, dirty stares, but that did not have any kind of an intention where they would approach us because the police presence was there evidently. So Chennai was relatively safe, and in fact even my colleague Pramod, when he had gone for this reality check, he had a very similar experience where he said that these patrolling vehicles were on duty almost in every important locality, which gave a vibe that
maybe
it was
other
safe for
cities
women to
and
venture
police
out.
forces can take notes from what's happened in Chennai. And someone who lived in Chennai, I'll tell you what is the biggest deterrent in the city of Chennai. It's that there is a serious fear of law. The reason we keep talking about the need for police to be out there on the streets to ensure constant patrolling, to ensure that nothing untoward takes place, is right here in the city of Chennai. You see what an effect it has on the ground, because it ensures that people, no matter what, don't resort to any sort of mishap, don't resort to any sort of these kind of acts with women on the ground because of the active police presence and the clear fear of law in the city of Chennai. And that's what largely makes a difference in the city also, which is why when Akshay ventured out, she didn't find any sort of bad behavior. Most people went about their own duty. You had cops reaching out to her on several occasions, going ahead and asking if you're okay, do you need any help? And in many cities, while we did see in some cases cops actually approaching the reporter and asking her if she needed any assistance at all, what we found is that the police force perhaps is the most active in the city of Chennai. In multiple locations, constant patrolling continuing. Let's tell you what's happening in the city of Hyderabad. Now, you've got Abdul Bashir as well as Apurva Jayachandra. Both of them hit the streets and found that the city is unfortunately not as safe as people thought. Many people approached them and also some tried to warn them about the place being unsafe. The police were patrolling. None of them, however, bothered to stop, check up with Apurva or Abdul if they're okay.
दिलसुख नगर तक जाना है।
भाई और कुछ ड्रॉप करा?
नहीं, मैं ऑफिस से आ रही हूँ, अभी लेट हो गया था।
बेटा आप
नहीं, कोई बात नहीं सर, अभी आएगा 2 मिनट में। नहीं कोई बात नहीं, ये इधर ही है ना तो आ जाएगा पास में। क्या भैया?
आपको जाने का है, जल्दी चले जाओ। ओला उबर बुक करके चले जाओ। सब जने गलत,
मुझे घर जाना है।
जल्दी चले जाओ। खाली सब जने गलत जगह से देख रहे खाली, सब जने गलत नजर से देख रहे खाली।
अच्छा, मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। दिल्ली मतलब क्या बोल रहे हो आप? नहीं, मेरा ओला तो बुक हो गया है, अभी आएगा। अभी कैब बुक करने में और दिल्ली जाने में क्या है? आप ऐसे आप सर हिला के आप क्या बात करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं? नहीं, सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है।
3000, 2000, 5000 जाओ ना।
3000, 2000, 5000 क्यों? आप जाओ, मुझे कैब आ रहा है, मैं जा रही हूँ।
आप ऐसा नहीं दिख रहे ना, मेरे तो पूछ लो।
कैसे नहीं दिख रही? लड़की नहीं दिख रही? ये रे, क्या हुआ मतलब? आप जाओ भैया, आप तीसरी बार इधर आ रहे हो, क्या हुआ? देर हो गया। हाँ, मनस्थलीपुरम।
दे दो, मैं छोड़ देगा।
नहीं कोई बात नहीं, आपको किधर जाना है? उससे और आगे है मेरा, कोई बात नहीं, ये कैब आ जाएगी। नहीं कोई बात नहीं सर, कैब है।
कैब को तो कैब वाला है।
नहीं कोई बात नहीं, अभी ऑलरेडी बुक किया है, वो अभी आने ही वाला है। हाँ,
अलग काम है।
अलग काम मतलब समझ में नहीं आ रहा है।
जाना है वाला है।
नहीं, मैं घर जा रही हूँ। क्या हुआ भैया? Cost for what? What are you asking?
Where are you waiting?
I'm waiting for my cab to come so I can get home.
This area is not good, so that's why I'm asking.
Thanks. I think this is the second time you're coming here.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for an Ola Uber to come. Thanks.
We've been here for an hour. We've seen that so many people, they were
Well, Bashir, the experience I had was kind of traumatizing. In fact, yes, there was one patrolling vehicle that went by, but no police official had come here and had in fact asked why I was standing here in the middle of the road. Do I need any kind of help? Several people here, public, who had tried to, I had cat calls and lewd comments that were passed on me just because I was a single person who was standing here alone on the road, a woman who was just trying to, get her way back home safely.
When we talk about the law and order, when we talk about the bandobast, when we talk about the security measures, we have seen in the other corners of the city where the checkposts were held. We have also met women police officers who were on guard, who were trying to check vehicles, who were checking drink and drive. Drives also were going on.
It's all of these places that have been in the center of the city, the heart of the city. Where we are at is almost to the outer part of the city as well, like you rightly mentioned. And given this is the situation here, this is the kind of, in fact, just a couple of, 100 meters from here, we have a police station as well. But there hadn't been any police officials who had approached me asking if I needed help.
See, while we do this reality check, we leave it to our viewers, we leave it to the people who are watching as to how the people who are in the society have to render themselves, and also the police who provides the security have to be here on the spot, on especially these spots where we have seen twice a patrol moving here. They have left from this place, but they have not even tried to approach and ask why is a single woman, a woman standing here and so many people surrounded by.
So clearly disappointing state of affairs in the city of Hyderabad. Apurva, much like many of us here in Delhi when we were standing outside, was approached by a number of men who tried to suggest that she was up to something else. Why? Because she was standing all alone on a street. Abdul Bashir, who was also out there with Apurva and also scanned several parts of Hyderabad late last night, is joining us on this broadcast. Abdul, shocking to say the least, what happened with Apurva. You spoke to her. Tell us about really what she experienced and also what you saw. Wherever you went in Hyderabad, was there adequate police patrolling? Because clearly, while there was a PCR van that passed by where Apurva was, They didn't bother to stop. They didn't bother to check on her.
See, absolutely, Akshita. When we talk about Hyderabad city, it is well known for the measures it has been implementing to curb crime against women, especially the measures like the she teams that have been launched in the state to curb the crime against women, eve teasing, and at certain spots you have also women police officers dressed in civil at certain bus stops, at public places, who are especially working to avoid this eve teasing and these kind of incidents. But yes, yesterday's horrific incident with our colleague Apurva J. Chandran was disturbing. As you see in the city from 12 to 3 a.m. we were moving around the city. We have seen several places where checkpoints were there. We have also met the women police officers who were leading the police team to conduct checkings. Especially for drink and drive, reckless driving, negligence driving, and several other issues that were being monitored. You have CCTV camera surveillance that is running 24/7 in the parts of the city. But yes, there are certain corners of the city as well where the surveillance is yet to be, monitored, where the police has to be more serious about women's safety. Like such incident that has taken place yesterday in Chaitanyapuri during the reality check, where Chaitanyapuri metro station, which is said to be the most, there is a lot of movement. That is, there's a public movement. You have all residential areas. You have women moving around, mainly software employees who go to their office in the night time, during the night hours.
I'm being told by my team that she's standing with you. Can you ask her? Can you tell her to talk to us about her experience?
Absolutely. Tell about your experience that you have been experiencing yesterday during the reality check that we have done in the
Well, one thing that I will have to definitely say is that the kind of scenario that was there, given that this was very early on in the morning, and the number of people who approached us for help was very little, but at the same time the number of people who had approached us asking, commenting lewd messages and also asking inappropriate messages, that was something that was jarring as well. We'd also seen that a lot of people who had come there, very few of them had in fact tried to approach asking if I needed help. Why was there a single woman who was standing there late at night if she wanted any help or not? But on the other hand, we've seen several other people, men of all ages who had tried to approach me and also had passed lewd comments. Some of them were also asking for rates. This is something that was quite shocking, because this is, we are living in a metropolitan city. We are living in, we've also seen the horrific incident of the Disha rape case that happened just a couple of years back that shocked Hyderabad and also most of the nation. And following that, we've seen the kind of security that has amped up. But one thing that hasn't changed is definitely the mindset of the people here. That is something that we can clearly see.
It's very, very sad to see. Apurva getting us the details of her experience, and she's right in highlighting the fact that just in fact a few years back we saw the case of the Disha rape case in the city of Hyderabad. Shocked us all, shocked our conscience. Nothing's changed, however, on the ground in the city of Hyderabad. All right, so we've shown you now the situation in Hyderabad, Bengaluru and Chennai. In all, we've covered 11 cities, 18 of our reporters out there, and we promise to show you every single report that our reporters have filed to give you a sense of which is the safest city in the country and which cities, like the national capital, clearly need to ensure that they have adequate measures to ensure safety in the nights, whether it's about a lack of patrolling or a lack of infrastructure. Let's talk about the financial capital of India, Mumbai, which is often considered to be one of the safest cities in the country. Is that really the case on the ground? What we found is that there isn't quite enough police presence. In fact, the other issue is the basic infrastructure missing. Street lights are not working in many areas of the city of Mumbai, which means that you see absolute darkness in some stretches. With their reports.
The city that never sleeps, the city that makes women most comfortable even at night is the city of Mumbai. But right here, we are on the Western Express Highway, and here you can see it is right now 1 a.m. in the morning. And even right now, the city that never sleeps is still facing a lot of traffic jams. I'm right now in Jogeshwari area of Mumbai, and this is one location where I found that the Western Express Highway, though it is extremely well lit, you can see that there are lights all over the flyover. But at this particular juncture, there is no street light that is working, and it is a large, huge patch of this particular area that you can see where the street lights are not working. And certainly, this large patch can actually make women feel quite insecure if they are walking from this particular area. We are right now in RA area of Mumbai. This is a green zone. This is considered a jungle area, and that's one of the reasons why the government did not really think that there should be infrastructure of street lights put up here. This is the main road of RA, and as you can see, till almost quite a distance, there are hardly any street lights that are working here. There are a few vehicles at this hour. It's approximately 1:40 and in the night, and at this hour, there are hardly any vehicles that pass by. But after almost a wait of half an hour to 40 minutes, we did see one particular police vehicle that just passed us by. In fact, they warned us that there is a leopard around here, and so we should be careful. So certainly, the police presence is there, though there are no street lights, and there could be problems for people who are traveling through the RA at this point at night. We are right now in Juhu area of Mumbai. This approximately took us about half an hour to reach from RA to Juhu, and we saw approximately 3 to 4 police vehicles, on around, making sure that there are no untoward incidences, keeping a watch on the people. Juhu in particular is visited by many tourists, especially many who come during the late night as well. To make sure that these people do not crowd the city late in the night, people go back home. The Mumbai police have positioned themselves here as well, and we saw them standing by this Juhu beach. Apart from this police force, this important aspect of the policing is the CCTV cameras. You can see this particular pole here at Juhu right behind me. This has approximately 3 to 4 cameras right over it. And these CCTV cameras, most of them work, some of them don't, but they help the police force here in Mumbai a great deal. From Juhu to Bandra Bandstand, we stood outside Shah Rukh Khan's residence, the King Khan of Bollywood, and we saw a lot of youngsters, young boys and girls standing outside his residence at 2:45 in the morning, and they're clicking pictures merrily without any fear. And that's probably because while we were traveling from Juhu to Bandra, and now even at Bandra Reclamation, we did see a lot of police presence. Apart from police presence, there is also the fact that all these roads, mostly across Mumbai, are extremely well lit. And that's one of the reasons what gives a lot of confidence to people who are traveling late in the night and then do not have to really fear any predators or someone lurking in the dark.
ये महिलाओं का सेकंड क्लास का कंपार्टमेंट होता है, और अगर आप इसको पीक आवर्स में देखें तो ये पूरा भरा हुआ रहता है। लेकिन अभी रात के तकरीबन 12:30 बजने आए हैं और ये पूरा कंपार्टमेंट हमें काफ़ी खाली दिखाई दे रहा है। लेकिन कुछ महिला हैं, उनसे जान लेते हैं कि क्या इतने खाली कंपार्टमेंट में भी वो इतने रात को अकेले ट्रैवल करते वक्त खुद को सेफ मानती है। क्या आप इतने रात को अकेले ट्रैवल कर रहे हो, आप खुद को सुरक्षित मानते हो?
हाँ, डेफिनेटली।
कैसे?
बिकॉज यहाँ पे पुलिस ऑफिसर्स रहते हैं रात में।
जिस कंपार्टमेंट से ट्रैवल करते हो वहाँ पे आपको पुलिस दिखती है?
हाँ, ज़रूर दिखती है।
रात के तकरीबन 12:15 बज चुके हैं और इस वक्त हम मुंबई लोकल में मौजूद हैं। ये मुंबई लोकल टिटवाला की तरफ जाएगी और अब हम इसका रियलिटी चेक करेंगे कि क्या मुंबई लोकल के महिलाओं के डिब्बे में पुलिस होती है। नियमों के अनुसार शाम को 6 बजे से सुबह 6 बजे तक हर एक महिलाओं के डिब्बे में मुंबई लोकल में एक होमगार्ड होना ज़रूरी है। और जैसे कि आप इस लोकल ट्रेन में देख रहे हो, मैं फ़िलहाल महिलाओं के लेडीज़ फर्स्ट क्लास कंपार्टमेंट में ट्रैवल कर रही हूँ और और इस कंपार्टमेंट में रेलवे पुलिस भी हमारे साथ मौजूद है और उसके साथ साथ एक होम गार्ड भी हमें यहाँ पे दिखाई दे रहा है।
रात के समय जो ट्रेन ट्रैवल होता है तो सभी ट्रेन में स्पेशली लेडीज़ के डिब्बे में हमारा एक पुलिस कांस्टेबल या होमगार्ड महिलाओं के सुरक्षा के लिए तैनात किया जाता है।
हमारा ड्यूटी शाम को 6 बजे से चालू होता है, सुबह 6 बजे तक रहता है। तो कोई मतलब कोई गर्दुल्ला वगैरह चलना नहीं चाहिए अंदर ट्रेन के अंदर, जैसे कि कोई लेडीज़ को तकलीफ नहीं होना चाहिए।
ट्रेन के दोनों साइड के जो डोर्स हैं वो खुले होते हैं, इस वजह से इस ट्रेन में इस महिलाओं के कंपार्टमेंट में रात के समय कोई भी चढ़ सकता है। जैसे कि आप मेरे दोनों तरफ देख पा रहे हो, मेरे पिछली तरफ जेंट्स सेकंड क्लास है और मेरे आगे की तरफ जेंट्स फर्स्ट क्लास का कंपार्टमेंट है। और जैसे मैं यहाँ पे बैठी हूँ, ये महिलाओं का लेडीज़ फर्स्ट क्लास का कंपार्टमेंट है। लेकिन इतने रात में आप देख पा रहे हो कि इस कंपार्टमेंट में एक भी महिला मौजूद नहीं है। लेकिन मुंबई पुलिस हो या मुंबई रेलवे पुलिस हो या फिर होमगार्ड हो, इनकी वजह से मुंबई लोकल ट्रेन में सफ़र करते वक्त हमें सिक्योर फील होता है।
So considered to be one of the safest cities in the country, while nothing really happened untoward with our reporters on the ground, there were clearly some lapses that need to be addressed. Vidya is joining us live from Mumbai to share her experience with us. Vidya, there were clear issues that, the Mumbai police, that authorities need to address here. The reason perhaps Mumbai is safe is because of the people of the city. But there are clearly issues with regards to the kind of governance and the kind of policing that's being done in the city.
Well, Akshita, I won't deny that, incidents that you saw in Bangalore where, people are actually catcalling, our reporter. Similar incidences do happen in Mumbai as well. But certainly those unfortunate incidences do at some times go unreported, or even when they are reported at times, Mumbai police does take immediate action. This is something that we have seen in Mumbai, and especially when it comes to patrolling and raising the infrastructure in the city. We have seen that approximately most of the areas in Mumbai are extremely well lit. Women would not find a huge problem, traveling. I have myself traveled pretty late in the night at 1 or 2 in the night, and all alone without any fear that I would probably not be able to reach home. That's something that does not really happen in Mumbai, and that's one of the reasons why women, especially in Mumbai, feel extremely secure when they are traveling even long distances. It's safe even if I have to travel from Church
Very true. I'll say this, that, as a woman who's lived in Mumbai and lived in Delhi, I felt a lot safer in Mumbai. Stepping out late in the night, as you mentioned, was something that I felt comfortable doing, whereas here, you tend to think twice, and that itself tells you what is the situation as far as the law and order, as far as women's safety is concerned when you compare these two cities. Let's focus now on the city of Kolkata. Here's my colleague Ahana as well as Suryagni, who ventured out to the city streets to find out what's the situation. Ahana tells us that there was ample amount of police patrolling where she visited, which is great to see. Let's take a look at those reports.
क्या हम बेटियां सुरक्षित है? जब इतने बड़े हादसे हुए तब पुलिस कहाँ थी? हालांकि मैं आहना अभी कोलकाता से बोल रही हूँ, और कोलकाता जाना जाता है अपनी सेफ्टी के लिए। क्या हाल हकीकत है कोलकाता के रास्तों का? क्या पुलिस की पेट्रोलिंग कोलकाता में सही से हो रही है? आज वही हम देखेंगे। अभी हम पार्क स्ट्रीट की ओर जा रहे हैं। पार्क स्ट्रीट कोलकाता का एक ऐसा जगह है जिसको हार्ट ऑफ कोलकाता बोला जाता है। ये वही पार्क स्ट्रीट है जहां पे एक रेप केस हुआ था 2012 साल की फरवरी में। ये रेप केस वहां पे हुआ था, उसके बाद से ही सिक्योरिटी बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ाई गई है। एकदम पार्क स्ट्रीट का क्या सिचुएशन है वो आपको हम दिखाएंगे। ये पार्क स्ट्रीट है, यहाँ पे काफ़ी सारे बार भी है, कॉफ़ी शॉप भी है, सब कुछ है। लेकिन अभी तक मुझे पुलिस नहीं दिखी है। सामने भी पुलिस का एक बूथ है, लेकिन उसमें भी पुलिस नहीं है। अभी मैं यहाँ पे अगर रुकती हूँ तो 2 पुलिस मुझे अभी दिख रहे हैं वहाँ पे। यहाँ पे पेट्रोलिंग ठीक से हो रही है क्योंकि पार्क स्ट्रीट और पार्क होटल एक ऐसी जगह है जहाँ पे हमेशा लोग आते जाते रहते हैं।
देखिए, पेट्रोलिंग कहाँ क्या हो रहा है तो वो तो हमको मालूम नहीं उतना। मेरा ड्यूटी ये है, ये इतना ही मालूम है।
अभी हम बात कर रहे थे, पुलिस की गाड़ी हमें नजर नहीं आ रही है। पुलिस पेट्रोलिंग का गाड़ी अभी दिखी है हमें, लेकिन जो गाड़ी जा रहे हैं उनकी अगर आप म्यूजिक सुनोगे तो बहुत लाउड म्यूजिक चल रहा है। और पार्क होटल के सामने भी एक पुलिस का वैन अभी वहां पे रुका हुआ है। दस मिनट से ज्यादा हो चुके हैं, हम वहां पे हमारी गाड़ी खड़ी थी एकदम। जो अभी दिख रहा है कि ये जो पुलिस बूथ है वो बिल्कुल खाली है। कोई हादसा हो जाए तो क्या होगा, सवाल इस जगह से आ रही है क्योंकि जो स्पीड अगर आप देखोगे गाड़ियों का, जो यहाँ से जा रहे हैं, ट्रक जा रहे हैं, गाड़ी जा रहा है, इनका अगर आप स्पीड देखोगे तो कुछ गाड़ियों का स्पीड काफ़ी ज़्यादा है। हम 10 मिनट से ज़्यादा वहाँ पे खड़े थे, हमारी गाड़ी का इंडिकेटर भी ऑन था, लेकिन हमसे कोई पूछने नहीं आया कि वहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है। हम अभी पार्क स्ट्रीट से न्यू मार्केट की ओर जा रहे हैं और अभी ग्रैंड होटल के सामने से हमारी गाड़ी जा रही है, लेकिन यहाँ पे पुलिस मुझे दूर दूर तक नहीं दिख रही है। हालांकि वहाँ पे भी एक ट्रैफिक गार्ड का जो जगह है वो है, लेकिन पुलिस मुझे कहीं नहीं दिख रही है। सिर्फ गाड़ियाँ, इक्की दुक्की गाड़ी जाती दिख रही है। जो तस्वीरें यहाँ से मुझे अभी तक की दिखा है कि पार्क स्ट्रीट हो या फिर न्यू मार्केट, वहाँ पे पार्क स्ट्रीट में थोड़ा बहुत फिर भी अगर पुलिस हमें दिख भी गई, लेकिन न्यू मार्केट एरिया जो है एकदम सुनसान है, जहाँ पे पुलिस बिल्कुल भी नहीं दिख रही है। साल की शुरुआत में दिल्ली में जो हादसा हुआ है उस बच्ची के साथ, वो कोलकाता में ना हो, इसलिए हमें सतर्क रहनी पड़ेगी।
Ahana Chatterjee is joining us live from Kolkata now. Ahana, as you mentioned at the beginning of your report, the city of Kolkata is largely known to be very, very safe. And in your report, it's clear that that's largely the reputation that's been maintained. The city is very safe, but, there are many empty streets where there was zero patrolling, as you reported.
ये अक्षिता, पार्क स्ट्रीट की अगर शुरुआत की मैं बात करूँ तो वहाँ पे डेफिनेटली पहले जब हम वहाँ पे गए वहाँ पे पुलिस नहीं थी, पर बाद में वहाँ पे पुलिस आई। लेकिन अगर मैं न्यू मार्केट एरिया की बात करूँ तो वहाँ पे बिल्कुल भी पुलिस या फिर कुछ भी नहीं था। अगर किसी को कोई भी जरूरत हो, मुझे भी अगर कोई जरूरत होती है तो मदद करने के लिए कोई नहीं आएगा। तो मुझे 2 तस्वीरें दिखाई। एक जगह पर डेफिनेटली पुलिस पेट्रोलिंग कर रही थी, पुलिस की गाड़ी दिख रही थी, लेकिन जो एक पुलिस का बूथ के सामने हमारी गाड़ी खड़ी थी, वहाँ पे हमें कोई पुलिस नहीं दिखा। हम तकरीबन 10 मिनट से ज्यादा वहाँ पे खड़े थे, लेकिन हमें कोई पुलिस नहीं दिखा। हम क्यों वहाँ पे खड़े हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं, गाड़ी के अंदर ऐसा कुछ हो रहा है जो कि नहीं होना चाहिए, ये सब चीजें वहाँ पे बिल्कुल नहीं हुआ। लेकिन पार्क होटल के सामने जो हार्ट ऑफ सिटी होता है, जो हार्ट ऑफ कोलकाता है, वहाँ पे डेफिनेटली पुलिस पेट्रोलिंग थी। तो आई कैन से मैं सेफ फील कर रही थी। एक मिक्स तस्वीर मेरे सामने आई है, जहाँ पे न्यू मार्केट में बिल्कुल भी पुलिस नहीं थी और पार्क स्ट्रीट एरिया में सच्ची में पुलिस थी। वहाँ पे पेट्रोलिंग भी हो रही थी और लड़कियां सेफ एंड सिक्योरली रात के 12:30 बजे
very clear, based on the reports that all of you, including Hana, filed for us from all the metro cities at least, is that Kolkata, Mumbai and Chennai perhaps are safer than the other cities. Bengaluru is relatively safe. Hyderabad, however, is as concerning as the situation is here in the national capital. Thanks very much, Ahana. I'd like to thank all the other reporters also who joined me here on India Today. Coming up on the other side, as we promised you, we're getting you 18 of these reports. We have covered several cities that you've just seen here. What about other parts of the country? We're continuing to get you these reality checks by our reporters on the other side of a quick break.
A B.Tech graduate in Madhya Pradesh is scripting a success story in dairy farming. Anil Patidar from Modi village, located 45 kilometers away from Agar Malwa district headquarters, chose to stay close to his roots and started his dairy in 2018.
मैंने सन 2014 में बीटेक किया है आरजीपी यूनिवर्सिटी भोपाल से, और आज मेरे पास, मैंने सोचा पहले कि जॉब में तो खुद का बिजनेस रहेगा नहीं, दूसरों के अंडर में काम करना पड़ेगा। मैंने डेयरी फार्म स्टार्ट किया, 8 गायों से मैंने शुरुआत की और आज मेरे पास 100 से 105 गायें हैं।
From cutting fodder to milking cows, Patidar relies on machines to manage his business. The venture that started with 4 cows now has more than 100. The business, he claims, is making big profit.
मेरे पास 600 से 700 लीटर दूध पर डे का रहता है।
कितना होता है आमदनी क्या?
अब इसमें सर 60-40 का रेशियो रहता है। मान लो जैसे कि 600 लीटर दूध है, 40 रुपये लीटर के हिसाब से जोड़ा अपन ने, तो 24,000 का दूध हुआ। तो इसमें 60% मेरी इनकम है और 40% मेरा। हाँ।
Patidar claims one of the reasons to start his own dairy was to supply unadulterated milk.